Doodlebud here. Today we're checking out this giant pen. How big is it, you might be wondering? Let me show you. For reference, this is my Montblanc 149. Love this pen. This is the WingSung 930. To gain an understanding of just how large the nib is, that is a number 6 size nib, standard size. This is the nib off my Montblanc 140. Very large nib, very famous. And here is the number 9 size nib off the WingSung 930. The size difference is massive. I figure to gain an understanding of just how large this pen is, let's get straight into the size comparison. We have the Pilot 823, Montblanc 149, the WingSung 930, Pelikan M1000, and a Lamy All-Star. And caps off, you can see just how small these nibs are in comparison. Again, Montblanc 149 and a Pelikan M1000 nib. And if you really have to post it, it does post. It's gargantuan. As big as it is, it's actually not the largest pen I own. I have this one over here. You can't get these anymore. But this is the Qidi Pens Jumbo ACR. This one's just a touch bigger and mega thick. You can see it just has a little number 6 size nib on there, which is just out of proportion versus this giant number 9. Even though it's a large pen, it's actually not crazy heavy. This is inked up. So let's just call it around 43 grams of that. We have, about 14.5 in the cap. So the body isn't actually overly heavy, 28 and change. This is a piston fill pen. I'll show you the parts at the end of the video. It is currently inked, so I'll wait till I write with it. There is a little ink window on here. If we can see that, just like on a Montblanc, we can just sort of make it out there. Again, I'll show you all the details when I un-ink the pen and clean it out. I'll disassemble it, show you all the parts. The ink capacity, because I know you're wondering, it's a large pen. I measured it out at about 2.3 milliliters. Maybe it carries a touch more with the piston fill pen. I always let out just a few drops after I ink it. So I inked it like normal, but I was getting 2.3 milliliters of ink capacity, which is, pretty darn large. Here's a close-up of the nib for those who wanted to check it out. I put on the macro lens here. You can see the nib size. This is a medium. That's laser engraved. It comes in fine, medium, and broad. It also has JUNL. It's also called a Junlai instead of just the WingSung. But there you go. There's a close little look at it. It is an ABS feed. Look at the size of that feed. It's huge, but it's well made. It writes really well. I got it inked up with diamine writer's blood. We're going to give this thing a go here. I'll just show you a couple more things and we'll start writing with it. And like I said, we'll take it apart. Big thanks also goes out to 365 Days Stationery. They have a store on Aliexpress. They very kindly sent me this pen to play with and try out and share my thoughts with you in this review. So thanks to them for sending this out. Hopefully this video will help answer any questions you have. If you were eyeing this pen or wanted to know a lot more, also I have a link down there in the description to their store. Be cool if you supported them, since they also support the channel and are able to provide pens for us to learn more about. So this is neat. I have a big hand, but yeah, this is a big pen. I guess maybe, again, I've never touched one, but a Namiki Emperor, that is a huge pen with a huge nib. I'm curious if this is in the ballpark of that size of a pen. Even the clip is huge. Again, let's look at the clip off the 149 and look at the clip on this thing. It's absolutely massive. We'll show you the cap band on there. There you can see it's got the Junlai 930 on there. So they have that on the cap band instead of the WingSung, and it says right here on the cap band, made in Shanghai. Checking out the rest of the cap, nothing really special going on. What you see is what you get. No finials or emblems or anything anywhere else. Same goes for the body. Just your standard sort of classic cigar-shaped looking pen. I hope the camera's picking this up. There's a little bit of a better look of the ink window. That diamine writer's blood is a fairly wet ink, so it's very saturated on there. But yeah, functional, and you can see your ink level. I've been using the pen here for a little bit. The cap seals just perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. It's a 4-start thread, and it actually comes off in about 3/4 of a turn instead of just one rotation. The 149 for comparison is 1 full rotation. This one's a little bit less. Feels like it's about 3/4 of a turn. And one more time, there's the size comparison. It does post, as I showed in the size comparison side by side. It makes the pen absolutely massive. This would be a perfect pen for Andre the Giant if he was still around. This would be perfect for his size. But yeah, so obviously super huge, even for my large hands. unposted is the way to go, but it doesn't backweight it since the cap's fairly light. So if you must post it and have a gargantuan pen, you're not going to have any issues. I have my Clairefontaine book. Like I said, Diamine Writer's Blood is in the pen. I'll do a writing sample, then we'll disassemble the pen, show you all the bits. Performance-wise, the pen, it's been perfect. Out of the box, it was good. It was smooth. The tuning was absolutely bang on. The nib is nice. It writes like a standard medium size point nib, so I'm quite happy with that. Is it bouncy? You might think that just such a huge nib, it has to have some flex because it's sticking out so far. And as you can see here, if I push onto it, it's no different than any other nib. I mean, a regular number 6 size nib, you can probably get that same type of line variation, maybe even more out of some other ones. That's as hard as I'm going to push it. You shouldn't push it any harder than that. So it doesn't really have, a bouncy type of feeling to it, but it is nice. It's very smooth. It's quite enjoyable. It took me a little bit to get used to the size. Like, I like big pens, but when I first got it, I was like, no, this is too much. But I've been using it here for about a week and a half, something like that. And I quite like it. I enjoy it. It's been working out just great. I've had no issues. It seals nicely. It is always wet and ready to go. I do have a fairly wet ink in here. I just thought the Writer's Blood, a black pen with a nice red ink, I find is a nice combination. So that to me is a nice little bit of a combo. But just some casual words there as well. But I've been using this for notes, because 3/4 of a turn makes it nice and quick and easy to do some notes and do some different things as well. So I can use it for a quick little writer, all that kind of stuff. One thing to keep in mind though, it's a huge pen. So if you're going to take this with you, you need a big case. This is one I use quite a bit. This is that 6-pen case, I think what they're called, Contacts family. It's not going to fit into that one. I tried to fit it in my little 2-pen case that I carry all the time. Same thing. It's not going to work there. Because it has such a large body diameter, some of the pen cases that have these loops, it could be a bit of a challenge. So this is the pen case I've been using here for the last better part of a week. Is this one by Pen Trendy House. You can even see with the loops, it's still a little bit on the tight side, but it's plenty large enough. I can still close it and fit the pen. So just keep that in mind. If you are going to carry it in a case, you need to have a bit of a bigger one. Overall, my impressions of the pen are quite good. The only little kind of nitpick I found is if we can sort of see it there. Let me zoom in. You can just see it. See that body line between the ring? So we have the main body here and the rear cap. You can see the body line just changes a little bit. It's not quite consistent all the way down. Again, does not impact the pen whatsoever. But you can see it just goes and steps down, then kind of goes back out again. So just a hair off on consistency. And yes, I notice those things. What I'll do now is I'm going to unink it because there's a lot of ink. I'll put that back in the bottle and we'll disassemble it. While I do that, one thing you might want to keep in mind, just because the pen itself is quite large and the nib is so huge, you might find it a little difficult filling the pen just depending on which ink bottle you're using. So it might be a good idea, if you have one, or now is the time to maybe get one. This is one I just 3D printed myself, but to use an ink miser. So that way you can fit the pen in there a little bit better. The ink level doesn't have to be down too far before it's going to be a challenge to fill it up in a bottle. It is fairly easy to disassemble the pen. You can just unscrew this whole unit. So it sort of has the front collar that comes off, and then it contains obviously the nib feed and the nib housing. And you can get access into the piston, if you can sort of see, there it is down there. So if you want to run it up and down, if you wanted to sort of grease the inside, we can get a better look at that ink window that's in there. So if you just didn't need to fully disassemble the pen, and in most cases you don't need to, you can just do that. If you want to go a step further, what you can do is just pull out the nib and feed. There you are. Now let's have a look at this feed. This is a rather huge feed, and you can also see it has a really, really large ink channel as well, which is why I haven't had any issues whatsoever with ink starvation. There's the back of it there. It just goes straight into the ink reservoir controlled by the piston. And then again, here's a look at the nib. So everything's well made, goes together. Again, I don't know if you can get quite an appreciation for just how big these parts are. Let me get you some other nibs and feeds. For reference, that's the feed from a Yovo number 6, and this is the one from the 930. And here are the nibs side by side. This is the Jinhao 9019. It's inked up. I'm not going to take it apart right now and make a giant mess. It has a very large nib on it as well. But here, again, just for size comparison, for perspective. Now, things aren't necessarily keyed, but you can see those little lines there on the side. I think there's a tool that goes in there to help you unscrew everything. All I do is when I put it back in, I just align. You can see what I'm trying to do here. Again, it's so tough with lighting sometimes, but what I'm trying to do is just align the edge of the nib with that little groove there that's on the side, make it even on both sides. Once I feel it's pretty good, then you can just press fit it and drive it home. If you want to take the piston out, it's a much larger piston unit, so there is a separate wrench you can buy with it. According to the drawings, I think it's something like 10 millimeters across. I will say, I don't think mine was tightened down properly, because the first time I went to ink it, I unscrewed it and I went to put it back in, and then the whole actual piston unit unscrewed from the body. And so I had to kind of redo things, but I took it apart then. What I did to retighten it, because I don't have the wrenches, I just had a little piece of bike tire to get some grip. Let me see if I can take it off really quick so you can see it. So this is just a piece of tube from a bike tire. And yeah, okay, so I was able to grip it. And again, it's the opposite way of threading. There we go there. So here's the piston assembly. It looks fairly similar to on some of the other pens. Possibly the dimensions are a little bit different. But yeah, fairly easy to disassemble the pen. If you decided to put shimmer ink in here, you can take all the components out, flush the pen out thoroughly, reassemble, and maybe just put a little tiny dab of grease on that piston. I did just the other day when I reassembled the pen, so I don't need to this time. They are tough to see just due to the contrast, but there is an O-ring down here and another one up here. So if you're cleaning the pen out disassembling, make sure those are in the right place. Overall, I'm very impressed with the pen. It is huge. If you like huge pens, well, this is probably something you will want to check out. Big thanks again goes out to 365 Days Stationery. Thanks to them for sending me this pen to review and share my thoughts and all my findings with you. Hopefully I have answered all your questions. If you found the video helpful, thumbs ups are cool, subscribes are even better, join is amazing, leave a comment, check the description. Catch you next time.